Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of the Georgia Foodcast via Zoom. And today's episode, I'm really excited to have Olivia Amos on the Foodcast with me. She is a pioneer and leader in the good food movement, and she is in Columbus, Georgia. So welcome. Thank you for being a part of the Foodcast today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and appreciate you having me.
Of course, we got to hear all about what you've been doing in Columbus and what you're progressing to do too. So, for people that either don't live in Columbus or had not heard of Bare Roots, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and your mission and what you're doing in Columbus, Georgia, and have been doing?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm from Columbus and I moved to Atlanta right after college, and then moved to Central Florida to New Smyrna Beach for a couple years. So I was gone for about 10 years total. And then when I came back to Columbus, there was really not a lot of options as far as healthy food and especially locally sourced food. So it kind of became a mission of mine. And I jokingly used to say, when I retire, I'm going to get back in the restaurant business. It happened a little bit sooner than I thought. And so I opened Bare Roots back in 2017, just really wanting to bring to the community of Columbus a restaurant that was casual, that you just felt, welcome, very welcoming, and also had options for everyone. Not, and teaching people that healthy food is delicious. There's such a bad connotation to healthy food sometimes that it doesn't taste good or doesn't have, a lot of flavor. But when really it's cooked healthy, with just minimal olive oil, salt and pepper, you really taste the flavor of the food so much more. And so that's one of the main things I wanted to do, was to be able to show the community how that could be accomplished. And so Bare Roots began, and we really have focused a lot on sourcing locally, also as organic as possible. That's very difficult to achieve 100%, but we try to do that as much as we can. And we've a lot of different, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I mean, everything you're saying is just making me hungry, and it makes so much sense when you're bringing this kind of new concept to a community of, like, when you're sourcing locally, when you're sourcing organic food, the flavor really pops. It's different tasting than what the perception is of what healthy food is. And I find that really interesting.
Yes, yeah, it is. Some of my favorite reactions from guests is when the first time they come, they're like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." Somebody asked them to come into Bare Roots, and then they end up being some of our most supportive customers. They come back and they're like, "You really have made a believer out of me," as far as what healthy food can taste like. So that's probably one of the biggest compliments that we get from people.
And it probably changes their life in a way too, where now you've opened their palates to this concept. Now they've learned more about where their food comes from. And I feel like my theory on it is that you're maybe influencing their at-home eating patterns and dining patterns as well.
Yes, yeah, I think so. We part of how we started was doing prepared meals for people, and so that was, that's also a learning process, that we just didn't want people to think that was a 30-day diet. That really is truly a lifestyle change, and how much better you feel mentally. There's so much that goes along with eating healthy and wholesome food.
Absolutely. And so were you in the restaurant industry before opening Bare Roots, like when you're in New Smyrna and stuff, or what kind of dipped your toe in the water before you opened?
I actually was in the restaurant industry when I was in college. I worked my way through school in the restaurant business. So it's just one of those things that truly, it is the truth when people tell you it gets in your blood and never leaves. And that's exactly what happened to me. I went into the corporate world and was a pharmaceutical rep for a while. And that was probably where my passion came in for food as medicine concept, because I just really saw there was a huge disconnect when a doctor tells a patient that they have a diet-related illness, whatever it may be, gives them a prescription, tells them they need to change their lifestyle, their eating habits, but there's a lot of people don't know how to do that. And so I think that's probably where my passion started, as far as wanting to educate people and be part of, teaching people how to change their lifestyles, and that it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, and you don't have to feel like you're depriving yourself of anything.
Yeah, I was looking at some of your previous menu items, like with a tempeh sandwich and things that were kind of unfamiliar to certain groups of people. Or if you're a meat eater generally, and then you see something vegetarian on the menu, or just it just doesn't always cross your mind that that could be a part of your lifestyle and diet, to just switch it up sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's where we really wanted to have a menu that had something for everyone. Had a lot of gluten-free options available, a lot of people that love to eat meat, and they also wanted to make sure that we had enough for people that are vegan or vegetarian, that they felt like they didn't have to get the same thing every time they came in. We really wanted to have a broad menu selection for different lifestyles.
Well, and I guess with all the sourcing from local farms and really putting that pride into the ingredients that you were putting on people's plates, is that when you got involved with Georgia Organics? Or tell me about your relationship with Georgia Organics.
I love Georgia Organics. They're just awesome. I mean, you guys are wonderful. Suzanne, she has been so supportive of us from the beginning. We've done a lot of catering, different conferences to Columbus, and so it's been a great relationship with you guys. We're very excited to hopefully having the conference next year here in Columbus again.
Yeah.
Yeah, cross fingers and saying lots of prayers that happens. But yeah, so it's just been a really good relationship. I went to my first conference in February in Athens and just came back so excited and so inspired with the different talks that I heard, and a lot geared towards what we're doing in the next chapter of Bear Roots with the food mill.
Yeah, I think that timing of it was impeccable, that we were able to pull off that conference before the world flipped upside down, for sure. And were you in the food as medicine workshop?
Yes, yeah,
I went in there
yeah.
too. We were in the same room.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I'm glad to hear that it was
Yeah.
invigorating. But so then the world flipped upside down and things have evolved from bare roots to now the food mill. So talk a little bit about this transition for you, and how kind of this pandemic economy has changed things in your world.
Yeah. Well, we obviously just, fear just took hold in the beginning, of what was going to happen, what the future looked like. We have two locations, and the location that I manage on a day-to-day basis is our catering location. So we lost 80% of our business basically overnight. And so it was, the question kept coming up, makes sense to stay open? How can we adjust our model to make work, when we were in charge of catering? So we had already been doing the prepared meals, and so it's just a natural transition for us to continue doing that and expand on that model. We doing most of the individual meals, some family, but we expanded our family menu. And we had been looking at a program actually based out of Atlanta that very successful in buy two give one program. So we started implementing that because there was a huge need in the area that our catering location is, for us to be able to help the community. There's a lot of food insecurity in the area. So we started that program at the same time. Just to kind of test the waters and see, how people would respond to it. We had some initial interest at first, and then a local law firm started a nonprofit called BWP Cares, and they were providing meals to healthcare workers on the front line. But part of this, it was twofold. They were providing the meals, but then also only ordering through local restaurants in the area so they could help sustain the businesses that had, were trying to stay open with a to-go and delivery platform. So it just, when Brooke Peak, who founded the brand, reached out to me, we had actually just started having those conversations about maybe we should just shut down during the shelter in place and try this, once it's over with. She reached out to me, and it was perfect timing. That really is what kept us going during that time frame, is being able to deliver meals to the healthcare workers.
That's incredible. So would the law firm give you the funding to provide those meals, or would people still be able to order their meals and buy two, and then the third would go to healthcare workers?
It was both. The law firm was actually, they were taking in donations from businesses, individuals, and help us on that end. And then we were still selling individual meals and family meals to the general public. And we were able to not only donate healthcare workers, but donate to our local community. And since I believe like mid-March, we've donated close to 1,000 meals to our local community.
1,000 meals to healthcare workers.
Yeah.
That's really special, and it's really cool. And it just shows like that was an initiative that aligned with your mission of Bare Roots in the first place and the food mill now. And then it just kind of naturally progressed into something bigger than what you even were.
Yes, yeah, and that's what's been so neat to see is, the days that you're so full of the unknown, there's so many times when I call myself saying it's the silver lining in all this. So there really has been a lot of silver lining in the COVID crisis for us, and being able to help the community just been awesome, and to see the community support that we've received, because we've also received donations from different farms in the area, Columbus Botanical Gardens, and stuff produce, several individual donations, just that our community come together to help support not only the restaurants, also the community that's in need. It's just been very heartwarming.
That is incredible. It's just the way that people have had each other's back and just decided to support each other through this instead of just letting fear take over and be in their own lanes. It's really remarkable that it's happening in all corners of the world, and especially in Georgia, everywhere.
Yeah.
So are you still donating meals to healthcare workers, or how is the food mill transitioning? And this is kind of a big announcement that's about to happen for y'all. But what will this be as a nonprofit moving forward?
We haven't really donated meals to healthcare workers in the last couple of weeks. It's been mainly we've partnered with school and church just a couple blocks from our location, and so mainly what we've been doing now is donating meals to the community that we're in, and so we have been working on a project a little over a year now, and we thought this project was going to be in the same area but in a different building back in February. Things didn't work out for that, and I truly believe God's timing and plan, and that what was meant to be. A month later it hits, and so it's just very apparent that this is kind of the direction that we were meant to take for things. And so Bare Roots is going to be transitioning into a food pharmacy called the Food Mill. It's a functional food pharmacy where we'll have our cafe will stay open. We'll have some lunch, or offer our catering services still. Our individual meals and family meals will be offered. We're going to be adding medically meals to that. It's going to be in partnership with Mercy Med that's local. for the uninsured. So that's super exciting. Actually, where this all began was with talks with Mercy Med. And originally we were just focusing on medically tailored meal portion. But then we partnered, I'd started in talks with partnering with Georgia Davis, who founded UGrow in Columbus, which was working on establishing a food hub. And so she and the UGrow board, we started talking and met and decided that we would just join forces. And, you know, we were all working towards the same goal. So it just really made sense instead of trying to work separately and, like you mentioned before, kind of be in your own lane, that, you know, we're much stronger together. And we made a lot of progress in doing that. So UGrow has now become, or the food mill will be part of UGrow. Oh. And so the food hub portion of that is in partnership with Beyond Harvest Foods. Justin Blomeyer owns that. So he'll be opening a farmer's market right next door to our cafe. And I cannot tell you how exciting and important that is for this part of the community, because it's been a food desert and has the highest rate of food insecurity in Columbus. So this opening with a partnership with Wholesome Wave of Georgia is just, it's a wonderful thing to happen for this community. So that, you know, we're very excited about that. And you know, people will be able to use their SNAP benefits to shop, and the farmers will, you know, receive their market price and what they need to the same. So it's win-win for everyone.
I can't smile big enough hearing about this.
Yeah, well, sorry to keep talking. There's just so much to it. So
no,
it's
keep going.
But we also, in partnership with Open Door Community House, will have a shared kitchen space. So they currently have a culinary program, one of the culinary programs in Columbus, and they have been wanting to expand that program into an incubator program that offers marketing business classes. It gives people not necessarily wanting to go into a traditional hospitality position in a restaurant or hotel. They may want to, you know, open catering business or baking, that this gives them a place that they're able to do that and able to learn the business side of this, along with starting their own industry. So that's another function of the food mill as well. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you earlier, but I studied dietetics at the University of Georgia, and that's what I got a degree in. And so obviously everything you're talking about, I'm so interested in. And I wish that this kind of holistic education of like, here are other opportunities for food service, here's a way that you could give back to your community, like those are essential for our next, like just for this generation and beyond, to be able to involve in the community. Like I just think the collaborations that you're doing are incredible. This whole plan is beautiful, and I'm so excited for you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, they're very meaningful partnerships, and it's, you know, it's been something everyone has been working on for a long time. And so to see us all come together for the same goal, and to, you know, work to eliminate the barrier of food insecurity, it's just, it gives me chills to think of it, you know, and what we want to accomplish in the community.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go to Columbus once we can have a little less social distancing. I will help you with whatever you need, because this is just such an impactful and meaningful and necessary resource for your community and beyond. And I'm just so excited. And that really is a silver lining to this whole pandemic and change right now.
Yes, yeah, it has been. And, you know, I've tried each day to see the blessings in every day, and, you know, just having the ability to be able to help people and to start this transition to seeing it come to life is truly been, you know, a silver lining, and good that's come out of this.
And that's a helpful reminder to anyone who's watching or listening to this episode too, is to just kind of draw attention to these wonderful people like Olivia and the folks that she's collaborating with, to know that there are people that are helping and helping each other and helping vulnerable communities right now. So it's just something to keep in mind. And like you said, to be able to count your blessings. And that's a blessing for a lot more people than just you. It really is.
Yes.
Well, so as I introduced you, as we wrap up this segment, I said that you are a leader in the good food community, and that is why you're on this foodcast today. And so just as we close out, I'd love to hear if you have any advice for other leaders in the community.
I I think, mainly just looking at where you can get back. I mean, even the smallest gesture right now is so meaningful to people. There's so many people that they're scared of what our future holds, and I think just the kindness and grace right now is huge. For everyone's situation. So I think that's a big thing. Whenever I receive some back from the families that we had donated food to, I mean, I can't tell you the thing to me. And so, it's just a wonderful, I think, just being able to use your talents for the good of the community is a thing to do.
Well, you nailed it on the advice. I think we could all use a touch of that. So thank you so much, Olivia. And thank you for everything that you're doing and contributing to Georgia's good food movement and just the good of the community as a whole too. And for everybody who's listening and watching, please check out the Food Mill nonprofit. More to be announced about the Food Mill. This is just a little preview of everything amazing that they're doing. So please check it out, get involved, make donations. This is a great spot. And Olivia, is there any other resources that the listeners should be checking out?
Right now, we're staying on Bear Ridge Food Cafe social media pages, but that should change by the end of this month. So if you'll just be on the lookout for the Food Mill. We do have an email set up for it now. It's thefoodmill@gmail.com. So if anyone wanted to reach out, has any questions, or just wants to know more about it, I'd love to interact.
Okay, thefoodmill@gmail.com for anybody who wants to get involved. And thank you again, Olivia. I really appreciate your time. We appreciate your time from Georgia Organics, and we're just so happy to have you in our community.
Well, thank you. And thank you for everything that Georgia Organics is doing. It's amazing. We really appreciate it.
Of course. That's what this whole Georgia Organics group is all about. But all right. Have a good day, everybody. Okay.